fasting valid in Ramadan without eating the suhoor meal? Yes, fasting is valid without eating the suhoor meal. In fact, many ulama related an ijma' that the suhoor meal is not obligatory. And among them is Ibn Qudama and the Nawawi and Ibn al-Mundhir. Yes, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam did say, "Tasahharu fa inna fis sahuri baraka." Eat the pre-dawn meal, suhoor, and that's an order. Tasahharu is an order. And orders usually indicate wujub. But what differs it from being a wajib to a mustahab is the famous incident that occurred during the time of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the incident where the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam continuously fasted for days without breaking his fast at Maghrib and without the suhoor meal. He continuously fasted for days. And the Sahaba, some of the Sahaba followed along with that. They began to do as the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam did until he deterred them from that. That's in the famous known hadith on that matter. The point is that the fact that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba continued their fasting without the suhoor meal, that drops that from wujub to being a mustahab. So suhoor is a sunnah, and a sunnah within that sunnah is delaying the suhoor until the time of Fajr. Because Zayd ibn Thabit said, we had the suhoor meal with the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then we got up to perform our salah. Anas asked Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anhuma, what was the interval between the suhoor meal and the adhan? Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anh said, it was enough time to recite 50 verses, which is approximately 10 minutes. So the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Tasahharu fa inna fis sahuri baraka." It's baraka. It's a physical and spiritual blessing. It's a blessing because it's reviving and training one on wala and bara. Because among the reasons that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered the suhoor meal is to be different in fasting from the people of the book. So it's to raise our children and ourselves on wala and bara, to establish a distinct, independent identity. It's barakah because you're following the sunnah. That's a sufficient barakah right there. It's a sunnah. Tasahharu fa inna fis sahuri barakah. You're following the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's a blessing to your life. It's barakah because it alleviates the hardships of fasting. It strengthens and nourishes one physically, so he'll be able to fast that day. Fasting and the ibadat that come along with it, they need energy. Suhoor strengthens one's ability so that he can worship and read Quran and pray the nawafil and do the adhkar comfortably. It's barakah because the timing of the suhoor meal coincides with the blessed 1/3 end of the night. The time when Allah Jalla fi'ula descends to the lowest heaven and asks if anyone is calling on him so that he can give them, so that he can forgive them, so that he can answer them. Getting up for suhoor is like hitting two birds with one stone. One gets up for suhoor and attains the reward for that, and it's an encouragement to take advantage of ibadah during that time. Had he not gotten up for suhoor, it's most likely he may have not gotten up for qiyam, and he would not take advantage of that precious time during Ramadan. Also, getting up for suhoor is a daily renewal for one's niyyah of fasting the next day. There's a known dispute among ulama on whether one intention is sufficient for the entire Ramadan, or whether one needs to renew his intention every single night. It's not time to discuss that fiqh matter. However, getting up for suhoor is a renewal of the niyyah, and it takes one out of that dispute. So the simple answer is yes, suhoor is not wajib. Fasting is not nullified if one does not do or have the suhoor meal, but it shouldn't be a neglected or an abandoned sunnah. Men and women, young ones and elders should be raised on following the sunnah, especially essential sunnah like this one. They're effortless with enormous benefits and rewards. How can you not get up to take a sip of water for suhoor that may attain you the salah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the salah of the angels upon you? The salah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is His mercy over you. He grants you honor with that salah. It's His blessings upon you, His grace, His mercy. The salah of the angels upon the believer is istighfar and dua for them. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does salah on you, it's taking you from darkness into brightness. هو الذي يصلي عليكم وملائكته ليخرجكم من الظلمات إلى النور وكان بالمؤمنين رحيما. He sends His salah upon you, and so do the angels. Why? Why? لام السببية. ليخرجكم من الظلمات إلى النور وكان بالمؤمنين رحيما. His salah upon you is to take you out of darkness into brightness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as everyone knows, with salah upon him. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي. You can attain a portion of that great honor, the honor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala making salah upon you, by a simple sip of water for suhoor. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على المتسحرين. The Sahaba and Tabi'een eagerly did a sunnah because it was a sunnah. Many ask today if it's a sunnah so they can leave it because it's a sunnah.